All right. So, welcome everybody to the first episode of Trimming the Fat. We are a weight loss support group slash podcast. Myself, Corey, and Adam came together and decided what a better way to share our words as well as get inspiration from other people and motivate. I, yeah, today we're going to be talking about what is your why, like why we keep going, why we want to do this, and why we can't stop. So again, I am Luke. I'm from the podcast Luke Loses. I'll let the guys introduce themselves.
Corey, would you like the honors?
Oh, well, I'm Corey. I'm just here to try to spread the wealth of information that I'm still trying to figure out. Um, kind of just tracking my whole livelihood or keep up on things just to have my own dialogue. And I think that's kind of where some of my why or motivation comes from, is it's nice to be able to have something to look on and be able to realize, where you're at, where you're going. And I think as we get into talking about motivation a little bit, that'll hit on some of those points as well.
Awesome. And I'm Adam, Fat to Chubby. As far as the weight loss journey for me, I'm down 80 pounds. I'm kind of on the other end of things where I'm in the maintenance standpoint. So I've been down 80 pounds for about almost a year and a half now. And like Luke, like you said, I mean, this is something that I need in my life to keep me going, to keep me motivated, to not only learn more for myself, but to share what I've learned for people on the way and let people know that they're not alone in this journey.
So we are. Oh, go on, Corey.
Well, I was going to say, today, didn't we want to talk a little bit about motivation and what that is, especially this time of year and stuff?
Yep. We're gonna. I don't know where to go from that. So yeah, I want to talk about like why we are doing this and why we stay doing what we're doing, what keeps us motivated, how to stay motivated all year long. Because I know us three have been talking about the New Year's resolution, how it's a big boom in the beginning of the year and then slowly fades off, and by the end of the year, the gym's empty, and then people come back in January. So, what can we do to keep ourselves doing that and do it all year round?
That's definitely a good point. I mean,
a lot of time.
Go ahead, Adam. Corey. No, please. You're good.
I think a lot of times, a lot of people want to talk about motivation, but I think in today's society, as we expect motivation to kind of come in a pill, so to speak, or come just automatically, I don't think people have enough research and education to stay motivated. We're an instant gratification society. Yeah. So it's real easy to look at something and be like, okay, I see everybody else is on the bandwagon, so am I. Where's that instant gratification? Without having that whole background and knowledge. I think motivation has to come, some from a lot from a personal standpoint. And I did a video here a week or so ago on it, kind of touching base a little bit, that my motivation a lot of times comes from dark spots, real low lows, and having those experiences of, this is how terrible things can be, and living through that can give, people motivation. I also think that it's possible for other people to be able to draw off of those experiences as well. A lot of people talk about goals and getting motivation from where you want to be at or your end game. But I think some people really miss the mark on that, on wanting things totally undesirable, or not undesirable, but wanting goals that are near impossible to achieve. Like, I want to go be a bodybuilder. Well, even if I put the work in and everything for me to go compete into Mr. Olympia, I mean, you're talking, it's 2% of the world's population even have the genetics to build on a structure like that. And these guys put 20 plus years on. I'm not going to be a bodybuilder at 65 years old. So having realistic goals, I think, or things that are achievable make it a lot easier. But I think achievable goals, in my mind, aren't as motivational as, I'm going to go get a supermodel because I'm going to be so hot.
Yeah.
You bring up some good points there. I mean, I think that in society, everyone is looking for that magic pill. And it's one thing that I've told a few of my friends in different circles. I'm like, you are that magic pill and you have to do it. And that's just the thing. I think and the three of us have talked offline too, is that we've all been subject to any fad dieting that's out there, any magic pill. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of dollars I've wasted on like thermogenic fat burner 5,000, right? Take this pill, you'll be thin in 2 weeks. All you have to do is sweat and piss it out. But I mean, that's a big part of it. I mean, in this society, we want that. We want that. Just give me the pill, whatever it is, give me the pill. And so I can get through that. And it's just not that. I mean, it took me 40 years of my life and for me to hit rock bottom and to face a full knee replacement to get my act together, to really get motivated enough to say, okay, I have to make changes right now because I don't want to be 41 with a new knee and then getting a new knee every 10 years. But Corey, the point you touched on about making attainable goals is why I even name my podcast Fat to Chubby, because I'm realistic about everything. And I know I'm never going to be a six-pack model or anything like that. Nor do I really want to be, because I enjoy food too much. But I think that that's the biggest part about it. And something I stress to a lot of my friends and family is that, like, if you're starting this journey, you don't need fancy clothes. You don't need a fancy program. You just need to simply start by getting up and moving and making those small baby step changes along the way. And I think it goes into your point about that instant gratification. It's I want to lose 100 pounds today, and I'll do anything I can, whether it's apple cider vinegar or the soup diet or whatever it is, but it doesn't happen that way. And the two of you have been through so many peaks and valleys in your weight loss that you know how fast you can lose it once you get the formula correct. But then it's, okay, I've lost this weight. Now what the hell do I do with myself that I've hit those goals, and how do I maintain that moving forward? And how do I stay now, like, kind of where I'm at? So for me, it's like, I've got to find my why every single day, right? Every single day, my alarm clock goes off at 4 o'clock and I get up and I put my gear on and I hop on my bike or I do something. But it's one of those things where I know that for the rest of my life, it's going to be something that I have to deal with every single day. Every single day, it's going to be, I should not have those cookies. I should not do that. Let me get some water real quick instead. And I'm kind of droning on now, but I mean, it gets back to having achievable goals and having the self accountability to make those changes and know that it's small changes over time and not big changes right now.
Right. And that's an excellent point. And I think some realistic goals, if you want to hit on some of those, I think realistically, especially if you're coming from morbidly obese or, obese in general, is some of the freedoms that you gain in a more healthy state. Some of those abilities to, go hiking or go on a motivation. I think for me, I want to put those goals down on paper of, I want to go hike this trail, or I want to go do certain livelihood functions that I haven't been able to do because I'm carrying an extra 250 pounds around for no reason other than I like cheeseburgers. I mean,
Right.
when you look at it that simple, I mean, it's kind of silly that it's like, oh, I can't go hiking with my kids that want to go check out this waterfall that's, only a mile down that path because I don't know if I can come back from that mile down there, just because I like cheeseburgers and beer. It's one of those things where I think those kind of goals, a lot of people don't put enough emphasis on the quality of life, but then making that part of your livelihood as well.
I agree. I think that another good exercise to do with those kind of goals is to literally write them down or print them out and like stick them everywhere in your house, right? Like,
Yep.
Whether it's on the back of the door, you look at it every day, or in your truck, or whatever it is, but something that you need to visually see. So it's, perception is reality. So if you see it every day, it's going to be a constant reminder, and it's, I think we all have those mental tricks that we have that we can learn to get into a better mind state like that.
Right.
With me, I was thinking as you were talking, as for motivation and goals in general, over time those are going to change, and what motivates you today might not motivate you 6 months from now. And that's one thing that I had to come to terms and like learn that it's okay for that to happen, because I would lose my motivation and just be ready to quit. But there's always that other thing that you might have to look for it and figure it out. But there's always something there that you can find that can be your why. And it's okay for those to change over time. It's gonna.
And I think they should, though. I think that, for over every certain period of time, you should reevaluate your goals. Where are you on that path? I mean, as far as, if it's weight loss, that's one thing. Or if you have other goals like hiking, like for me, it was, I want to be able to put a belt on without putting my belt on my pants first. I want to be able to put my pants on and then put a belt on, right? Or tie my shoes without getting winded, stuff like that. But then, okay, you've achieved those. What's next? What's going to be the next thing you push yourself to do? And that's kind of where I'm at now with mine. It's a great point you made. Look, but like with the whole biking thing, right? Like I'm biking distances for me that I think they are utterly insane. And 5 years ago, if you would have told me I was doing this, I would have told myself to go F myself. I mean, it wouldn't have happened. And here I am 2 weeks out from doing a 75-mile bike ride. I mean, part of me thinks I am clinically insane, but it's like, when I was signing up for that bike ride, there's a like a 55-mile one and a 75-mile. And my wife's like, dude, do the 75. You ready? I'm like, are you sure? I mean, I was doubting myself still. She's like, no, you go do it. Honestly, I think she just wants me to tire myself out so I can like just be staying at home. But I think that's it though. I mean, in this journey, I know I lost my self-confidence. I lost my confidence in general when I was bigger. And I'm like, I can never do these things. I accepted the state I was in. And then, I made those changes and I started working with my doctor. And then when the weight started coming off for me, it was like, this was my one chance to lose weight and be healthy. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I don't forget that. And then having these conversations is a constant reminder for me that I'm not going to forget it and I shouldn't forget it, but it's the thing that pushes me to keep pushing. And I'm, just like with Corey, I love cheeseburgers and I love beer, and I had wings and beer last night and it was amazing. But I went to bed feeling like a bloated piece of crap, and I got up and I punished myself with a 42-mile bike ride. So.
Getting
Wow.
fuzzy there.
Yeah, I'm watching my focus just kind of go in and out. I'm like, did you lose me? Are you not staying focused here, or what's going on? But yeah. And I think a lot of people, especially this time of year, if we start talking about where people, are falling off from going to the gym that they just started, is one, Luke, as you started off that why, I think a lot of times we don't ask that question enough. One, why am I having that cheeseburger? Or two, why am I doing this? And I think that most people who start these New Year's resolutions and start that motivation don't look at those small, simple goals of being able to put the belt on, or things like that. When they're at the end of 3 weeks, what's a realistic, achievable goal at that? I don't think people realize what they should be seeing at 3 weeks from going from a sedentary lifestyle of not moving or, in bad shape. Each one of those goals is going to be completely personal and different. Some of it may be as different as being able to walk up 3 steps and not pause, or walk up 3 steps and, still have a little bit of breath left, or not feeling your heart race. 3 weeks is not much time for your body to change, even if you're going through an entire change of, your diet and nutrition and everything. A 3-week change, if you want to see that, you're on a drastic environmental change completely, not just one section of I'm going to go to the gym once a day for an hour. Congratulations, you just worked off a Snickers bar, if you're lucky. Yeah. There's a hell of a lot more to it than just that, little bits and spurts. And I think people need to realize that your goals aren't going to come overnight. everybody says it, well, you didn't gain the weight overnight, things aren't going to change. But I think if you have that mentality of, I want to be able to stand for 5 minutes. You say that goal publicly to people, some people are going to laugh at you like, well, that's not that big of a deal. Has anybody tried that lately? When's the last time somebody just stood in the middle of the room and tried to stand there for 5 minutes and realized that, if you're holding a little bit of weight in front of you, after a minute or two, all of a sudden it's like, where's my seat at? I'm tired of standing here. Just to stand still is a goal for some people, and they don't even realize it because they haven't tested themselves in that way. They're used to just going and sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a bad knee because of the weight that I've put on, and that standing there for 5 minutes. I think I might have touched on it in one of my podcasts. We went to Niagara Falls with the family, and every so often I'd have to sit down, and my 6-year-old came up to me, and as we were walking, he could see I was in pain, and he was like, "Do you need to sit down?" And that was kind of like, whoa, like he doesn't need to be worried about that. And I would absolutely love to be able to walk for 3 hours somewhere like Niagara Falls or wherever and not have to lean and not have to squat down because of my knee. So yeah, that's definitely one of mine.
Right. And I think we get in such a bad shape that we don't realize how sick we are, physically and mentally and stuff. I think a lot of people just want to keep putting that to the side and not grab the realization of, no, if you're obese, you've lined yourself up for some serious illnesses. You've lined yourself up to, be pretty self-destructive. And that in itself should be motivation, but you can't get that motivation unless unless you take the time or somebody tells you that, dude, no, really, you're in that bad of shape. And you have to be open to listen to it. You have to be ready to hear that, hey, your knee's shot and you're going to have to go through 3 knee surgeries before you're, at the time of retirement age. We don't like doing these until you're 65 years old. You're 20 years ahead of schedule. Congratulations. Yeah. Here's your prize. I mean,
well, that's 100% how it was for me. Like with my knee, I mean, I had 10 years of knee pain. My knee hurt for forever. And I blame sports. I blame lifting, whatever. And then when I tore my meniscus, I walked it off. I'm like, it's fine. No, I'll just take some Advil. I'll be good. And then we went on a road trip with the family to New Orleans. Is myself, my wife, and my son at the time. And yes, I was doing the same thing. I was stopping every couple of blocks. I'd take a rest. And then I never used cruise control. I used cruise control that whole trip on the way home. And then I literally was going to walk it off. But until my wife's like, just go to the damn doctor already. So I called my buddy Ryan, and I'll give credit to Ryan. Ryan's the one friend of mine that called me out for being fat the whole time. But and the flip to this is he's also my biggest cheerleader now. And the guy is just like, every time I see him, he's like, gives me a huge hug. He's like, I can put my arms around you now. But for me, it was like, I walked it off for years and years, and it was 100% out of fear, because I knew how bad a shape I was in. I knew that, I take 2 showers a day, and that, that I get sweaty. I have to go, do a bathroom check and wipe up, make sure everything's good back there, or, that kind of stuff. Like I knew what was going on, and I knew I'd drive my car to the end of the strip center and not walk. But I was so afraid, like you said, Corey, I was literally killing myself. Like my sleep apnea was horrible. I mean, everything I was doing was 100% wrong, but I was so damn scared of hearing those words that I finally heard. I mean, when your doctor said the good news is you tore your meniscus in 3 places, and then the bad news is you're fat. He said just like that. He's like, the good news is you have a full tear, 2 partial tears. Bad news, you're fat. And if you don't change your ways today, you're going to need a full knee replacement within a year, and then every 10 years. And then beyond that, and Corey, you've talked about this in your videos too, and I'm sure Luke, you've touched on it. Yeah, you have touched on it. you get into this morbid spiral, like, holy crap. And like, for me, it was, I started thinking about every like 80s and 90s sitcom dad that, mysteriously died of a heart attack because he was overweight. And I was like, holy shit, I'm 100% that guy right now. And it freaked me out to the point where that same doctor referred me to my weight loss doctor. And then I was like, screw it, I'm calling. I mean, before it would take literally like an act of Congress or pulling teeth to get me to ask for help. But here I'm like, who can I call? I want to call everybody. I mean, someone help me, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I 100% need help. I need to figure this out. And then I went to my doctor and for my physical and all that stuff, my consultation. And I was telling her everything I was doing, everything I wasn't doing. And she kind of gave me that look like, okay, cool. Every fat guy tells me the same stuff, right? It was all like, I work out, I eat good, and I don't know what's wrong. I can't lose weight. But it wasn't until I got my physical, and then she got to my EKG, and she's like, well, you weren't lying to me because you do have a good heart. I was like, okay, thanks. But it was that discovery of, okay, you have super high triglycerides, you have belly fat. Well, no shit, we all do, but that's causing you basically to have no testosterone. And it's really hard to lose weight when you don't have testosterone, especially for us. And then I was like pre-diabetic. And then she's like, this is what we'll do to get you fixed up. And we made a plan. And then as the weight came off, those other levels started coming up. And it was one of those things for me. It was a snowball effect, right? The harder I worked out, the better I ate, the more I did the research to understand food and how things worked for me, for my body type, for my genealogy, if you will. It was like, I was like on this really, I was a machine with it. I got so, mechanical about eating and working out. And it was like, okay, what can I do? How can I tweak this to be even more efficient? And it's for me, I'm obviously getting ramped up talking about it, but it was one of those things where I totally unlocked my own cheat code, and it was a very cool experience for me. And it's what kind of keeps me driven now. And I'm the same way though. I mean, I take a back seat to things. Like over the holidays, I put on like 9 pounds, and I was like, holy shit, what am I doing to myself? So then I ramped it back up, and I was like, okay, I know exactly what to eat and do it. It's just doing it, right? It's so hard. It's so easy not to do it, not to do grilled chicken and baked veggies. I mean, it's so easy to go down the street and get a burger and fries, which is definitely tastes better too. But
Well, I don't know about the taste better. Maybe you just haven't had anybody cook for you.
oh,
Knows how
come
to
on now.
But but like you touch on with food there, a lot of times I found that's why me and my wife opened up the health centric restaurant, is because it was so simple for everyone to go to. We have a gas station here, Casey's,
Yep.
which has everything. I mean, their tenderloins or pizza or whatever. And that's the thing, is it's on every other corner, or at least for us, every other corner, which is 20 miles apart. But it's, it's the thing that you always have, you can grab. And I think what some of that is a lot of times people say, well, I'm getting off track a little bit. A lot of people always say, well, the burger tastes better. This tastes better. I'll agree with you a little bit until you get into the right nutrition and the right ability. That the way that I like to explain it to people is, no matter what, you're going to feel your food. Okay. You're either going to feel bad about it, but very few people have ever had food to where they could automatically breathe better after eating it. And that's an actual thing that can happen with the right foods, is you start opening up your oxygen levels, you start opening up your bloodstream, you start opening up these things with what you're eating. Then all of a sudden something starts triggering. And what really pisses me off is, I've known this through a couple of experiences of gaining all this weight back. And it's like, and as soon as I start eating that way again, it's like, why did I ever ever stop. And it always started with me, it's an addiction. It always started with, I'm going to have a drink, or I'm going to celebrate with a beer. Well, me, I'm not that guy who has cheat days. My cheat days turns into a cheat month, turns into a cheat year.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I can't do a cheat day. Other people
Yep.
can. So I think some of that, getting back to, what you were touching on with, putting on 9 pounds, I think for some people that ends up being 90 pounds. And some of it is not knowing what there is to do. Like when you said, Adam, that, you started going to other people, where do I start? What do I do? What do I get in contact with? I think realistically, my motivation is this platform right here, that if 3 people watch this and 2 of them realize that all 3 of us have been in a spot where I don't know what to do, guess what? Ask me. I like to talk. Ask Adam. He likes to talk. We'll tell you something to do. We'll give you something that you can go start doing, today, because realistically, most of the time is you just got to do. It's not what to do. Do something, don't just sit there. Same with this, the platform of starting a YouTube channel. One of the best advices for somebody to do that is just do it. Just go ahead and start it. So it's not perfect. Oh, well, that's your first video. It's done. Now on to your second. I think the same thing goes with, diet and nutrition and motivation. Is just because you fail doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that, that's the process. It's not 100% smooth. It's life. It's rough. It's shitty sometimes. And you need to know where you don't want to be at and the direction you want to go in. I don't think many people know their true potentials. Like you said, Adam, on, you're going to go on a 75-mile bike ride, that even while you're doing it, you still had to get that extra motivation, or that go for it from your wife. Just go ahead and go. I don't think we give ourselves the pat on the back or the data boy that we are capable of amazing things. We just have to start somewhere.
Yeah, no, and that's just it. And a lot of times people don't know where to start, or they give up before they start. And I did that for years. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's not going to work this time, so I'm not going to do that because it's dumb. But before I forget this one thought, you touch on the food and how it makes you feel and breathe better. That's one thing for me that was crucial, of the many hundreds of things that were crucial for my success. But when I first started working with a doctor, for the first 3 months, I went like super hardcore clean, try to do not necessarily whole 30 or whatever it is, but I tried to eat everything with as few ingredients as possible, right? Nothing out of the box, no booze, no soda, blah, blah, blah. But I got to the point where, I was eating so clean, when I would eat anything processed, like for my birthday, it's in August. So I'm like, all I want is a Blizzard from Dairy Queen. Right. So I went and got this Blizzard, and as I was eating it, I could feel the sugar. I could feel the sugar like coursing my veins. And then I had the sugar crash. I literally like 20 minutes afterwards, I was passed out on the couch. And from that point on, whenever I eat stuff, I could feel my face getting all the inflammation in my cheeks and my face when I'd eat something that was processed or not cooked correctly and stuff like it. It was amazing to me that after 3 months of eating clean and having my body completely detox, how you could actually feel the effects of food or I guess malprepared food, or however you want to call it. But like, when you have something that isn't prepared in a healthy manner, you feel it. I mean, you feel it, your skin feels it. I mean, my skin would get red and pissed off. And then of course, going to the bathroom, I mean, like, I was super efficient. And then other times it'd be like, I'd be like, baby, I need another roll, because it affects you in that way. And same thing with like water intake and everything else, and feeling your body the right way. I know we're touching on like 100 different topics here, but it's all stuff that needs to come out. I mean, like, when I finally started drinking a gallon of water a day, seeing how efficient everything was and how much less time I had to spend doing things like wiping, and other things like that, it was astounding to me. Like, okay, if I drink more water, my body actually truly runs more efficiently. All my organs operate better, and I'm healthier, and it's allowing me to lose weight faster. And
Right.
it was all those little things that, like, aha moments, like, holy crap, this whole thing that doctors been saying forever about eating well-balanced meals and drinking lots of water actually works. Imagine that. Stupid doctors.
Right. And most people, well, I mean, I never realized because, for years and years, I was always starving, always hungry, always hungry. And, everybody always had to think, well, you need to drink more water. You need to do this. You need to do that. The first time when I went to the doctor and I was 480 pounds, and he literally told me, you need to get your affairs in order. Your blood pressure's out of whack. Your heart, you're going into so many failures that we aren't going to get into that right now, that it's beyond any time of doing anything else. You got to think of how your wife's going to survive your death, is basically how he put it. But we started doing a lot of labs at that point in time, doing blood work and checking everything. And I was 480 pounds, but I was starving to death. I was so malnourished that I was on the level of, you see those kids for $1.99 a day or a month, you can help this person. I had no vitamin D. I had no nutritional value because everything I was eating was so low. And if I would have told me at that point in time that you can eat so well that you'll not want to eat for a day, I don't know where I'm getting the 3 from. I would have said you're full of it. But now I know that if my nutrition's on point, I cannot eat constantly for 30 days with my nutrition on point. Within that 30-day period, I'll have to stop eating for at least 24 hours. I just become so satiated, so full, that I thought that was a myth. I never knew that was real, to be, actually eating to the point to where my body's like, hold on, we're good. We don't need anything else right now. And, that I never heard of things like that. It's like, how is that even possible? Because to me, I was a person who would throw up because I didn't eat, because, I would become nauseated from not eating. I had to eat every 2-3 hours. If I didn't eat, then all of a sudden, that's bad, to be like, oh no, I'm good. I don't need anything.
Yeah. When your body makes that change, it's so profound. I mean, because all those things that click in, you're like, wow. And a lot of times it's because, like you said, you're not getting the right amount of vitamins or the right mix of everything, or definitely not the right, the hydration in there too. I know for me, I did a lot of the intermittent fasting, right? Then I'd break fast something super healthy. Then I'd have a healthy lunch. But for me, it was when I was introduced to the world of baked vegetables, changed my life, because I could take an entire tray of vegetables, toss them with some extra virgin olive oil, some salt and pepper, pop in the oven at 400 for like 15 minutes. And I could literally eat this whole tray of vegetables. And that's like a couple hundred calories. And I was like, holy crap, because I'm such a visual eater too. It's like, I want to eat this copious amount of food because I'm so used to getting this burrito covered in cheese with rice and beans, and then chips and queso and guac and 7 or 8 beers, that I can eat this huge tray of food. And it's only like this much. And in terms of my caloric intake for the day, it was just astounding, and it tasted great. And it's, so I could still get that feeling of like, I'm going to eat this huge plate or whatever, but it was giving me vitamins I desperately needed. And it was, but it's taking the time, or I should say making the time to do those things, saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up early, or on Sundays, I'm going to try a meal plan. Or what my wife, again, is really good at is that when I go to the store, I just get stuff. Cause I'm like, oh, we'll figure something out. She's like, no, we got to plan out what we're having for dinner every night, so you can plan out leftovers and lunches and stuff like that too. So if you take the extra effort to do that and then prepare it correctly, I mean, it kind of, the system works in your favor that way.
Right. Absolutely. And I think, trying to get back into the topic of motivation, like you said, this is what I was worried about on trying to do a short segment on something, is there's so much information and so much experience that it's really hard when you get to a point that you're passionate on not only saving your own life, but knowing that our life can save others. Our experience can save others. And I think for motivation, realistically, what I want to try to share with people is that since we have the Facebook page, Trimming the Fat, since we have the YouTube channel, since we have, you know, these other platforms that we're going to, is this isn't just a show for you to watch. This is a show that I really think that everybody should be commenting on, because between the three of us, I have no problem taking 5-10 minutes out of my day and answering comments. And if it's something serious or we get so many, I have no problem on saying this needs to be a topic. And I think just from this conversation here, we have like 10 more topics that we could cover in depth an hour at a time and never even question it. Especially when it comes to food and exercise and motivation and stuff. So the people who are giving up right now, or, you know, didn't go to the gym last week because they didn't see the results, okay, you took your week off. It's time to get back at it. You know, there's motivational reasons for you to be doing what you're doing. Some of it has to be you personally, or some of it can be off of, you know, my experience or Luke's experience or somebody else's experience that you don't know. But nobody wants to die, you know, in a bed that they haven't been able to get out of for 30 days. Nobody wants that.
Well, and that's a whole different can of worms too, because I mean, we got to talk about, you know, I keep seeing this T-shirt, and it's been resonating with me, but it says "Darkness is a hell of a coach," and I think that plays into many different topics, whether it truly is facing your demons and depression, and why. And that's another thing too. We've got to touch on is the mental aspect of this, and I've made videos on it too. But like, part of being successful in this weight loss journey is you know, taking that deep dive into your head and figuring out what made you initially start doing this and why you do it and the psychology behind it. And
Yep.
I've got some friends, I'm like, you need to see a psychiatrist. You need to go talk to someone because something happened, and and you're covering up for it, or you're feeding that, you know, that kind of stuff.
Well, we're gonna cut it here. We got less than a minute before we get kicked off here. So yeah, we were all over the board, but we appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you check out the Trimming the Fat, and we're hoping to put this out weekly. So if you got any topic ideas, shoot them our way. We'd love to talk to you. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Leave any comment. We're here.
Like, share, comment, hit the subscribe bell, all the good stuff. Thanks, guys.